From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 10. Presented by Reliance Jio. Powered by Kentaro, RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Ravin and Max Bupa Health Insurance. In style partner, Raymond.
Ladies and gentlemen, why is it? Why is it that despite running from one courtroom to the other year after year, the common man, the average citizen who fights against the rich and the powerful, the richest and the most powerful, why is it that the citizen is always let down? Why is it that the Lutyens media loses its voice despite watching the citizens suffer? Viewers, tonight, 23 years after the Uphaar tragedy claimed the lives of 59 citizens of India, 23 children, and the youngest victim 30 days old. The well-connected, powerful, so connected that they are connected to the topmost media barons of the country. The Ansal brothers have been let off. And these 59 families are now being told, move on. They're being told 50 crore rupees is enough punishment. Move on. Ladies and gentlemen, the sequence of events as far as the Uphaar tragedy and the endless fight of the victims' families, the pain that they have endured, the suffering that they have been through, the compromise they have seen the most powerful members of the media do with the Ansal brothers, all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to remain a blot in our criminal justice system. And more than that, a blot on our conscience. Let's debate.
June 13th, 1997. 59 lives snuffed out. When moviegoers were trapped in Delhi's Uphaar cinema, a theatre owned by the rich, powerful and connected Ansal brothers.
The Supreme Court today says that there will be no jail term for the Ansal brothers. What is clear today for the victims and the families of the victims is they call it the Black Day. Because quarter of a century later, all their hopes are dashed in the judicial system.
That day, Neelam Krishnamurthy saw her teenage children, Unnati and Ujjwal, for the last time.
Today's verdict has shattered me as a mother. Supreme Court has only shown that justice is delivered when there is public outrage or there is pressure from the powerful lobby. Otherwise, for an ordinary citizen, there can be no justice in this country.
For 23 years, 59 families have been fighting a relentless fight for justice. Today, they've been let down. They've been told 30 crore rupees is compensation for 59 lives. Because the Supreme Court has rejected the curative plea filed by the Victims Association on seeking jail term for Ansals.
The victims are very disappointed. They are completely heartbroken because they feel that somehow they get an impression that the rich man can buy his freedom.
59 Indians died that day. 23 of them were children. Today, when these families have nowhere to go, why has the Lutyens media blacked out their fight for justice? Let's debate.
And viewers, let me begin by speaking about the media. The media may say anything, But truth be told, the media let the victims of the Uphaar tragedy down.
Can we have the volume?
Can the audio be raised in the Delhi studio? It will be very kind. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Thank you. There'll be an echo, but it's all right. At least you'll hear me. I have been reporting on this in different capacities over the years. AVUT, the Association of Victims of the Uphaar Tragedy, would in the late 90s and in the first 5, 6, 7 years at least when I was in Delhi, they used to meet and it was regularly reported. You remember that, Neelam Krishnamurthy, Mr. R. Krishnamurthy, you remember that, we knew each other then. And the media used to cover this incident quite avidly and keenly. But somewhere then it started getting blacked out. And it was told that the big media barons have been lobbied by the Ansals and they all know each other socially. And then the reporters were told to slowly pull off the case. And the aggressive reporting in the case of the victims of the Uphaar tragedy started going down. And I think the media could have been a pressure point, but I must say to you today, the media must also apologize to the victims of the Uphaar tragedy, because over the last decade or so, it's been intensely and slowly, this entire fight has been blacked out by the media. And if the media has been unable to provide any, at least covering fire for the victims, what the media in this country is doing is saying that go fight your own battles. And therefore it's a moment for introspection. Before I go to Harish Salve, who's joining me from London, I'd like to ask Mr. and Mrs. Krishnamurthy, and of course Naveen Sahni, all who represent the victims of the Uphaar tragedy, to first tell me how they feel. You are being told today the case is closed, your fight is over, go home. Now, after 22 years, 23 years to be precise, when you are told this in as many words, how do you come to terms with a message as terse as that?
Arnab, first of all, I just want to make a small correction that the 50 crore that you're talking, it's 50, it's 60 crore actually. And that 60 crore has been given as a reward to the Delhi government for making a trauma center. And this is the same Delhi government which has allowed permissions and allowed Ansals to run the cinema hall despite all the deviations and violations. And this trauma center should have come up in 2 years' time. We don't know where that 60 crore is. That 60 crore probably now is 80 crore. Anyway, I'm not here about money. But one thing is for sure, the Supreme Court has let down the victims badly, not just in the criminal case, but also in the civil case. In the civil case, they reduced the compensation from 10 lakh to 7.5 lakh and 10 lakh, that's all, from 18 to 15 lakh. So that is what they value human life in India. But more importantly, the point today they have just dismissed our curative petition saying there's no merit. I want to question the Supreme Court. Why do they say there is no merit? In the review petition, the judges themselves have accepted that there is no provision for substituting the sentence with fine. We need to rectify this. And thereafter they go and it has not been rectified. The judges have considered the old age of Sushil Ansal and other peculiar facts. What are the other peculiar facts? There is not a single document and record to show that Sushil Ansal has ever had any medical problem. He's never even prayed that. Why was he given all this relief? I'm not aware of it. I have all the documents with me. Why are they so biased towards these rich and powerful? Is it because the rich and powerful can afford the best of the lawyers? They can delay the proceeding? That's what Ram Jethmalani did. He took 8 adjournments in the Supreme Court. Why did the Supreme Court give 8 adjournments in 2 years? Why did they give Ram Jethmalani 1 year to argue? Why did the Supreme Court take 1 year they reserve the judgment? And then they later on say because of a prolonged trial? So that's why they're giving this period undergone? I don't understand any reason. Throughout the entire trial, Arnab, we are the one who went to the High Court and got this orders for expeditious hearing. That's why the trial was over in 10 years. It was only when the Supreme Court cancelled the bail in 2008, 26 hearing, the High Court concluded the appeal because the Ansals were behind bars. And now you tell us this is a prolonged, but I want to know what is the merit in the case. Don't they know it was the Ansals who closed the exits, the Ansals who closed the gangway? They did this, and this is a finding of the Supreme Court. They did this only for making extra money. This was just greed and nothing more. Ansals knew exactly closure of the gangway and exit will lead to this catastrophic condition. There was a fire in 1989, a similar fire in 89 where both the transformers caught fire, people ran out. There were no casualties because it was a late night show and it was an old movie which was running. So they had knowledge, they had intent, and still Supreme Court says that they can walk free. Had the Supreme Court acquitted them, I would have accepted the verdict of the Supreme Court. Let the Supreme Court say, all right, they are not guilty. What do you mean no merit? Let them say this evidence is all false. They've accepted the entire evidence. All the three courts have held them guilty and still they let them walk free. I want to understand, does the Supreme Court pray to the galleries? Does it pray to for photo? I mean, you can see the entire, whenever there is a case, when there is a media outrage, there is a public outrage, there is a media campaign, the Supreme Court immediately takes up the case and delivers the judgment. Uphaar curative has been pending there for the last 9 months. The other curatives which have been filed recently have been taken alternate day. Why are we being given such a second-rate hand treatment? Are we not the citizens of this country? Today I'm ashamed to be an Indian. If as a mother I could not get justice for my children for spending a quarter century in this country in the courts, I have lost everything 23 years back. I still went to the courts with a hope to get justice so I can get peace for my children. That has been denied to me by the so-called Supreme Court, and I feel we should close down the courts, because if you are not accessible to an ordinary citizen, then it makes no purpose. It just doesn't solve the purpose. You are only accessible to the rich and powerful and corrupt, and justice is a luxury which is only accessible to them. So I think it's time in India for people to stop believing in this judicial system. Nobody will ever believe Supreme Court after this. At least I will never advise anyone to go to the courts after this.
Neelam Krishnamurthy, we have a very interesting debate today, and I'll go to Harish Salve next, but we have with us also today, and I am stopping all programming tonight, Neelam Krishnamurthy. I don't have, can the audio be a little louder, please? My producers must hear me. Can the audio be a little louder, because if Neelam cannot hear me, it will be pointless. Thank you very much. Let there be an echo, Janisha, there's no problem, but let them be heard. Can you hear me now? This is so distracting. Can you hear me now? Thank you, thank you. You see, I am stopping all programming tonight. I do not have debate number 3, because for me this is important, and I cannot do this debate with constraint of time. And it's an unusual debate, because I also have with me Justice Gyansudha Mishra. She's a former Supreme Court judge. She heard the Uphaar case appeal between 2010 and 2014. As a media person, I can't do more than this than bring the judge right next to the victims and we'll debate this. But Harish Salve has always picked up strong and important causes. I don't agree with all the causes he picks up, but he picks up fights where he believes it's for the citizen. Today's decision, Mr. Salve, as you watch this from London, tell me what comes to your mind. This case is now being seen as a classic case of the entire criminal justice system, the judicial system of this country, betraying the citizen of India. This has become a betrayal. Because if you say someone is guilty but there is no justice, this is cringe-worthy. That two super rich brothers get away, and this is getting away. They're not in jail, which means they're getting away. And citizens are coming and pleading and crying on television shows tonight. In fact, let me tell you, not even TV programs, Harish Salve, the entire Lutyens media has blacked out today's developments also. Such is the complicity between Lutyens media and the system. Am I right, Neelam Krishnamurthy? Do you want to say something on that? No coverage of this in the entire media in the country today.
Today I'm very disappointed.
Yes.
I'm very disappointed today with the media, the way they blacked out Uphaar tragedy.
Completely, so the media lets down the citizen. The judiciary lets down the citizen. What does the citizen do, Harish Salve?
My answer, Arnab, is I don't know. I started this case as a relatively young lawyer at 45. When I first appeared in the High Court opposing the challenge to framing of charges, I fought this case through the trial court. Neelam will tell you the story of how I was sought to be replaced in the middle of the case and how she managed to get me to continue on the case. And it couldn't have been my fee, for which they wanted to remove me, because my fee was rupee 1. And I must say, I appeared in the trial court, I appeared in the High Court, and I appeared in the Supreme Court. And I think the best phase of this case was in the trial court. The trial was delayed, hopelessly delayed, till the victims went and created a huge big noise and got the courts to expedite the trial. The trial court judgment was the best written judgment. It was clear and it had absolutely no flaw in it. The High Court upheld the judgment and inexplicably reduced the sentence. And the case came to Supreme Court. For years it dragged in the Supreme Court, with Mr. Jethmalani's health from time to time being the reason for delays. The sentencing of the case has left me completely baffled and perhaps persuaded me to give up the pursuit of criminal law, because I have never understood the logic of that judgment. It started with a judgment delivered initially by which there was no custodial sentence. Neelam will tell you, I don't want to mention it, the circumstances in which the review petition was filed and the review was accepted. And then again to say that a 78-year-old shouldn't be sent to jail because of his age is very interesting in a situation where the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy, you still want a 92-year-old Mr. Keshav Mahindra, who was only chairman of the company in which the accident took place. The evidence, and Neelam will tell you again better, the evidence against Sushil Ansal and Gopal Ansal was direct evidence of involvement in the day-to-day running of the theatre. We are baying for Mr. Keshav Mahindra, who's 92 years old, but found Mr. Sushil Ansal too old to be sent to jail at 78. I don't know how that happened. And as she has rightly said, there was absolutely no evidence on record. And I must say, if you ask me what this case represents, it represents the abject failure of the Indian criminal justice system to deal with important cases in a manner that you enthuse the citizen.
But Mr. Salve, who will question the judges? Mr. Salve, the judges are human. They have their frailties. They cannot be above question. The spirit of democracy, I would say, with the greatest respect to the judges. And Justice Gyansudha Mishra is here today. With respect to the Supreme Court lordships, I find this unpardonable. Unpardonable in the court of ethics, Justice Gyansudha Mishra. It will be unpardonable, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, in the court of public opinion and humanity. And you were the former Supreme Court judge who heard the case. How did this happen? Are we to be told today that the Supreme Court is beyond any question or comment when a complete travesty of justice like this happens? It's not negligence. 8th level of negligence is found by the Delhi High Court, convicting the Ansals. No justice for the victims. Justice Gyansudha Mishra, I think we need to hear from you. How did this happen? How was this allowed to happen? Why were the Ansals given an exit route? Why were the convicted given an exit route? Tell me, you were the Supreme Court judge.
Yes, I very clearly remember the case, and insofar as I am concerned, I quite share the views and sentiments of the masses, and especially the family of the victims. And since you have, I would say, because speaking for myself, I had taken a view setting aside, or rather, questioning the Delhi High Court, why the 2-year sentence, which was a maximum sentence under the circumstances, was reduced to 1 year. And thereafter, the appeal before the Supreme Court was heard by me along with my brother, Justice T.S. Thakur, and we had a difference of opinion. Because I was of the view that the maximum sentence under the statute that has been given should be upheld. Now, the appeals, difference of opinion, on account of the difference of opinion, the matter went to the larger bench, where again a different view was taken.
This is all
Finally,
technicality. I mean, I'm sorry to intervene and show my impatience with what you're saying. Justice Mishra, I'm sorry to be interrupting a former Supreme Court justice who has handled this case. But you know, let me tell you, just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute, please.
There's a reason.
No, there may be a reason. I'm sorry. I apologize. Justice Gyansudha Mishra, but I must tell you, please, common sense. I'm nobody to advise the Supreme Court of India. All we are expected to do, and we do this with humility. We always say, my lordships, with the greatest of respect to you, but you are horribly wrong, my lordships. This is culpable homicide, my lordships. It is not. It is not negligence.
See, Mr. Goswami.
It is the negligence to the system. No, Justice Gyansudha Mishra. What you're telling me about differences between you and your brother judge are technicalities with respect. I'm not interested in. I'm interested in the denial of justice.
Okay. I'll cut short that, but have patience and you listen to me why I'm saying this. I say that now I'll come straight to the point and your answer, and the answer to your question. As long as the sentencing policy gives a discretion to the judge to award punishment of different kinds, like there is a punishment of maximum of 2 years, as also payment of fine under the statute, under the IPC. As long as you give the discretion and the element of subjectivity is there for the judges to choose which punishment should be awarded to the accused, there is bound to be differences.
Justice Gyansudha Mishra, may I please?
Not be a computer justice.
May I
Otherwise,
please?
we'll not need judges.
May I please say one thing? May I please say one thing?
You put it, feed it.
May I please say one thing to you, Justice Gyansudha Mishra? I have been to the corridors of the Supreme Court as a reporter. I used to cover it. When cases have been filed against me, I've stood there. And Mr. Harish Salve once appeared pro bono for me, and I stood there. It was a court of two lordships, and I've seen the finality of a Supreme Court verdict. You know what? The finality of a Supreme Court verdict is so final, it's so terminal. There is so much power that the Supreme Court has. I'm not against it, but there is so much power the lordships in the Supreme Court exercise. Am I right, Mr. Krishnamurthy? Am I right, Naveen Sani? That we expect you not to tell me tonight that, you know what, let there not be the discretion of sentencing. Am I to go to the courts of this country expecting and fearing the malafide intent of any lordship out there? That the lordship may misuse the discretion which is given to him or her to benefit a convicted party? Then where is their justice? Are you asking me tonight that unless we bind their lordships, that we bind their lordships in chains, taking away their discretion and their subjectivity? Are you telling me that I should be so untrustworthy so as to fear the misuse of discretion by a Supreme Court judge? What you have said tonight, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, sends shivers down my spine tonight. It sends shivers down my spine tonight as a citizen of India.
Judge over here.
I'm afraid tonight when I hear you. What you're saying is tonight, I'm sorry. What you're saying to me tonight is there is discretion and discretion may be misused. I mean, you're a Supreme Court judge. I'm a citizen of India. You're saying to me that I should be able to chain the judge into not misusing discretion? Mr. Krishnamurthy and Mrs. Krishnamurthy lost their children.
It's the statute which...
And you're telling me there is possible misuse of discretion by a Supreme Court judge. What do we do? Where do we go? Where do we go?
As a journalist of eminence, I expect you to be... You go to the lawmakers where they increase the sentence of 2 years to 20 years. Why only 2 years? Why only fine? You see, there is a sentence provided for each offense. You have to understand
but
that.
are you telling me
there is a sentence provided for each offence under the IPC.
Justice Gyansudha Mishra, you had sentenced them.
If it was so technical.
No. My question is, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, and actually, Mr. Krishna, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Justice Mishra, but I need to also give a turn. Mr. Krishnamurthy has a question, but I want to also say this, that Justice Gyansudha Mishra, you had sentenced them to the period undergone already in the case, instead of ensuring that they serve a full, complete term. Why is it that when 59 people die, there is a go slow on punishment?
No. I'm sorry. Also, I think it's my duty to correct the facts. I had increased the sentence of 1 year to 2 years, where there was a difference. Please understand that. Please don't misquote the facts. Please
2 years.
Don't misquote the facts.
2 years.
Yes, the High Court had reduced.
2 years is the maximum sentence under negligence.
Yes,
this was not a
2 years
case of negligence. Justice Mishra, you reduced the jail term to the period already served, and you increased the...
You see, when you discuss, Mr. Goswami, when you discuss a legal matter, I think a little bit of principles of the law also will have
Justice
to be understood.
Gyansudha Mishra, I would want to intervene right now, and I'm sorry, but I will have to engage in a more direct conversation with you on the subject. As a citizen of India, I hold the right, not just as a journalist, to question you in this matter. And let me ask you this, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, please, I request you, when I'm on my show, everyone knows, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, that I'm very well researched on the subjects. I've reported this matter, and let me tell you, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, wasn't it you? Allow me to ask you the question. Justice Gyansudha Mishra, with the greatest of respect to you, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, you're the Supreme Court judge, not me, but I will ask you tonight. And my question is the following. I'm sorry, Mr. Krishnamurthy, I'm overplaying my time, but we have time. Wasn't it you, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, who at paragraph 262 of your verdict was of the view that additional sentence of 1 year should be awarded, but the same could be substituted by the substantial amount of fine? And the elementary question that I ask you today, how can a fine ensure justice? And I read to you now, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, because I'm completely cognizant of the facts on the subject, and though I'm not anywhere close to your eminence in law, I am fairly accurate on facts and common sense. Para 262, quoting you, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, and I quote, "Hence, I am of the view that the interest of justice to some extent would be served by imposing on the appellant accused a substantial fine and not merely a jail sentence. Thus, while the sentence of 1 year imposed by the High Court is upheld, the additional sentence of 1 year further, while allowing the appeal of AVUT, is fit to be substituted by a substantial sum of fine to be shared equally by the appellants Sushil Ansal and Gopal Ansal, along with DVP, which also cannot absolve itself from compensating the victims of Uphaar tragedy represented by AVUT." I'm quoting your judgment. Am I right, Mr. Krishnamurthy? Did I get anything wrong there? I'm asking the respected former judge to explain why this was said.
How does the setting up of Thomas and
You have to understand that there was a distinction between the two brothers. The eldest brother was not. The eldest brother's sentence was. No,
ma'am. I can't accept that. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. No victim can accept that. Ma'am, we are very, you're not being sensitive now. Yes, please. I think Neelam Krishnamurthy must say something. Please.
Arnab, it was during the hearing of the Honorable Judge who's sitting here that Sushila, the lawyer Ram Jethmalani, got up and he used to say a number of times that we are ready to compensate the victims, and I had strictly said no. And one of the hearings, I got up and I seek the permission of the court, and I told them, I am willing to give the Ansals double the amount of money that they're offering me, provided they get any 5 lives back. And that is the day when I told the judges that we are not interested either a trauma center or any compensation, and we wanted judgment. This was this we had in the court for 45 minutes, where the judges even asked me a question that what kind of a judgment would you like? I said, if I was a judge, I will make sure that the judgment would be such that it will send a strong message to the society and will set up a precedence. and the public spaces will be much more safer. That was my entire thing that I told them. And I told them very categorically, we do not want trauma center, because that's what Ram Jethmalani had been pleading for. Please let my client go. They are old, they have money, they're ready to compensate them. I told them directly, we're not interested in money, because I was there in the court that day. My lawyer, Mr. Tulsi, wasn't there. So I had to address the court myself. And we said, we are not interested in a trauma center, because of the Uphaar Victims Association, there already a trauma center which has come up in Delhi, that is Jayaprakash Narayan Trauma Center. That came up in the year 2003 because of our civil writ. Arnab, you must be remembering that order came in 2002 by the Delhi High Court.
I remember.
So why should we be interested in another trauma center? So why should this 50 plus 50, 100 crore, this is the first time it was started, that the sentence be substituted with this 100 crore to make a trauma center in Delhi in Dwarka. This is what this judgment says of Justice Gyansudha Mishra. And she's even identified the place in Dwarka. I want to know, will a trauma center heal the trauma of the victims? Is that why I came to the court? I've spent my entire youth, 23 years,
Can I answer?
quarter of a century. This is what justice we get in India.
You see, of the
I
two
very
brothers,
strongly feel. Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
yes. You see, the entire, everyone is forgetting that the sentence, the management, or main management was with the younger brother,
I don't know.
Gopal Ansal, and
come on, this is all now.
no reduction in
Neelam.
sentence to Gopal Ansal.
No, don't agree with this.
Yeah, no. Mr. Krishnamurthy also, this is not
I'm
agreeable.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, they don't accept it.
You see, sentence was
The financial control was with Sushil Ansal. He was the licensee of the cinema hall.
He was the representative licensee of the cinema hall.
Neelam Krishnamurthy, one second. Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Justice Thakur has said very categorically.
You see,
Yes, Mr. Krishnamurthy, go on. I was making that point.
Justice Thakur had said very categorically in his judgment
I have not come here in this program.
Sushil Ansal remained to be a licensee.
Let us speak. Let us speak.
Sorry, ma'am.
Are we as citizens of India, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, entitled to a fair and democratic conversation and debate on judgments which may let the citizens of this country down? Or are we meant to bow our head and say that we are willingly giving up the rights to speak for one another? We are speaking up for one another today. I say it on record, and I'm willing to be punished to whatever extent for that. I will stick my neck out tonight and ask the Supreme Court former Justice Gyansudha Mishra. Justice Gyansudha Mishra, I as a citizen of India, all of us have been let down by the judgment of which you have been a part. History will remember this as a judgment in the highest court of the country, which has betrayed the citizens of India.
Mr. Goswami,
Betrayal of the citizens of India.
Please put your record straight.
My record is straight, my heart is in the right place.
Please put the record straight.
My record is straight.
And my judgment, and don't, if your record is straight, then you should know that there was appeal against our judgment. It went to the larger bench of 3 judges. So now you invite those 3 judges and ask why it has been upheld.
Can I ask you something?
I'm not here for my cross-examination.
No, I'm not cross-examining a Supreme Court judge, but I'm asking a Supreme Court judge, as a citizen of India, a question which is in the minds of every viewer of the debate this evening. Justice Gyansudha Mishra, I am merely a journalist, and you have been a Supreme Court judge in this case and in other cases. I ask you today, am I right in saying that there are 2 sections of law that we need to apprise ourselves of? Section 304 is punishment for culpable homicide not amounting to murder. The punishment is life imprisonment. Section 304A is negligence, which gives 2 years with or without fine or with both. Now my question is, the judge in this case reduces the sentence because of Sushil Ansal's age. What does age have to do when 59 people, including 23 children, the youngest victim being 30 days old, have died? Please tell me. And why were the Ansal held guilty under negligence and not under culpable homicide? The Ansal brothers has, as per the facts of the case, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, installed a DVB transformer without the permission of the MCD, and this transformer was not even mentioned in the sanction plan. They therefore deliberately allowed the deaths to take place to save a few pennies. To save money, they killed people. This, I want to know why Your Eminence did not see this as culpable homicide but merely negligence, when a simple extrapolation of the facts would leave you in no doubt of the complicity of the individuals concerned. Justice Mishra, please reply to my very straight question.
I think you are not putting the right question to me, because
my
I have
question
agreed
is my
with
right.
your view, and that is why I had it. Yes, all right. So you have to ask, Delhi High Court had decreased the sentence, reduced the sentence, already reduced the sentence of the trial court. Trial court had awarded 2 years of sentence. The Delhi High Court had reduced it to 1 year, and you are not reading those parts of the judgment.
I'm simply
where
asking
I have
you.
asked why the High Court has reduced
I'm simply asking you, Mr. Krishnamurthy wants to make a point to
1
you.
year.
Mr. Krishnamurthy, yes, he wants to make a point to you. And this is not cross-examination. Don't get it wrong. This is a conversation I'm having. Thank you.
Arnab, the maximum sentence in 304A is 2 years. You just said that. When we are very conscious that when the charge sheet was filed under 304A, we knew that the maximum sentence is 2 years. But when we went for the appeal in the Supreme Court, we had also made a prayer that there should be a de novo trial, because after going through the entire documents, 45,000 pages of documents, each and every page was read by me and Neelam, and we were sure that it was an apt case under which 304 comes under the ambit of 304, and that was also in the judgment by Justice Gyansudha Mishra, that this case comes under the ambit of 304, that is culpable homicide. But they said no, it's a prolonged trial, it has taken 16 years, so we can't send it for a de novo trial. So prolonged trial is not because of us. Prolonged trial is because of the fault in the judicial system. The prolonged trial is because of the accused who sought adjournments, and they were given adjournments at a drop of a hat. And imagine, they have given 5 months and 20 days for Sushil Ansal for the death of 59 people, which comes to 2.5 days per dead person. Is it justified? Is it justified that giving 2.5 days for death of my children? I don't agree with this. So why then have they gone through the documents? Have they gone through the orders of the lower court? Why the trial was delayed for 10 years? They have given adjournments because aaj Surya Grahan hai, so our client can't come, so given adjournment. So adjournment goes for another 1 week. आज क्रिकेट मैच है, आज वर्ल्ड कप मैच है, तो आज हम आ नहीं सकते. There is a judgment. I can show you the orders.
Shame.
They have not gone through all that. It is frustrating.
Shame.
They have not gone through the details of the documents. I forgot in the brief. I am not prepared to cross-examine the witness. So again, it is delayed for another 30 days. It went on for 10 years. We had to go to the High Court every time to get an order for expeditious trial. Is it a job of the victim? It is the state which says that they're going to protect our interests. But
Naveen Sani,
we had to make efforts to bring.
I'd like Naveen Sani also to speak. Naveen Sani, please.
For CBI.
Naveen Sani.
Yes.
Naveen Sani is on the debate, viewers. The victims versus the then Supreme Court judge on a judgment which has let down the people of this country. I'd like Naveen Sani to say something to Justice Gyansudha Mishra.
Mr. Goswami,
Yes, Justice Gyansudha Mishra. Yes.
My judgment has been. You see, please. Yes.
Yes.
Please correct the facts, because my judgment has increased the sentence had
to 2 years.
Set aside
to
the
2 years.
of the High Court.
Why was it not culpable homicide in your view?
Increased to 2.
Why was it not culpable homicide in your view?
Yes, and thereafter.
Why was it not culpable homicide in your view?
Just wait. No, if you put a question, at least have a little patience to complete the answer. The matter went up in appeal before the larger bench. So I would suggest that
no, that's not the question. You see, one second.
Why they have interfered with the 2 years.
One second. You see, now, may I now, Justice Mishra, may I say one thing to you? What you're repeatedly saying is that your judgment went to a larger bench. Go ask that bench. So I tell you, this is typically the approach. You go ask someone else, that person says go ask someone else. I'm asking you tonight, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, please don't mind the directness of the question. Look at the victims in the eye and tell them tonight, has justice been delivered? Can you tell Mr. and Mr. Krishnamurti? Can you tell Naveen Sani that justice has been delivered? Say to them if you can. Say to them they're on the screen. Has justice been delivered tonight?
My judgment had been upheld.
Has this justice been delivered or denied?
Yes.
Justice Gyansudha Mishra.
Just wait.
Has justice been delivered or denied?
For the answer. If my judgment had, yes, if judgment had not been interfered with a larger bench, Gopal Ansal would have been behind the bars and had to serve the entire sentence.
Neelam Krishnamurti.
Do you understand that Gopal Ansal's sentence was never ever increased? And he
Neelam. No. 1 second. A 2 years sentence reduced to a few months. Is this justice when 59 people, 59 people died, 23 children? On this program, I have Neelam Krishnamurti. She and her husband, lost a 17-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old son. The son would have been today in his 20s, they would have been adults. They have been denied their lives. Can you look at them and say justice has been delivered? Mr. Krishnamurti is the father. He was present at every hearing. Every hearing they've gone and cried and fought. If the justice system cannot say to them justice has been delivered, then what are we here for? What are we here for? And I want to tell you one thing. 2000, this is VVIP treatment given to the Ansals. They were issued token. Real estate baron Sushil Ansal was given a token for a short validity passport. The High Court Justice Waziri had asked, how is a convict in a multiple culpable homicide case treated like a VVIP? Ansal is treated like a VVIP, and these parents are being told today, this is it now, go home. I want this case to be reopened. I want this case to be reopened. Viewers, demand the reopening of the case. Make it an inflection point. Let there be a battle against the inequity and injustice in the criminal justice system and in the judicial system, which has let down the citizens of India. Can we reopen the case? Viewers, if you believe yes, then start a campaign now. Start a campaign. The Supreme Court also cannot be in an echo chamber in this matter. They will have to listen to the views of the people, will they not? Justice Gyansudha Mishra? Justice is for the people.
Yes.
Let's reopen the case. Can you say to me tonight you support the reopening of the case? Can you say this with me tonight?
Yes.
You support the reopening of the case?
Yes. I'm saying that I would support the reopening of the case.
Breaking news.
I
thank you for it.
Very much.
I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bless you for it.
Thank you so much,
we support the reopening of the case. This is breaking news. The Supreme Court judge who's been involved in this case in the Supreme Court is saying tonight, we want the reopening of the Uphaar case. That is the only way. This makes me hope the battle. Are you ready to reopen the battle? Mr. Krishnamurti, are you ready to fight again? All over again? I'm ready to fight with you.
Of course, we are ready to fight. We still.
All the way.
Naveen Sani, are you ready to fight?
We'll play to the last ball, like they say in cricket. We'll play to the last ball.
Naveen Sani, are you ready to fight? Justice Gyansudha Mishra
I want to say another thing.
Justice Gyansudha Mishra supports the reopening of the case. Are you ready to fight?
We will again fight.
Yes. Tell me.
Yes, we will fight it. We have already spent 23 years languishing in courts and all that.
You're ready to fight. You want to say something to Justice Gyansudha Mishra, who's saying she supports the reopening of the case? You can speak to her directly. This forum is yours. Go on, Mr. Sani, I can hear you. Go on, speak up. Everyone's listening live tonight.
Yes, that is one of the... That is one of the reasons that, you know, poor people or other people, they don't go to the court because they know there is going to be no justice. So there has to be a justice which can, you know, have a confidence in the youth of the country today.
You know, the tragedy is, Mr. Sani, so many people, youth of the country today, this case was so many years back, so many people today would not know what happened on June 13, 1997, right? 21 years back, right? So very few people below the age of 30 would know about this case.
Yes.
Right? So that's my challenge tonight.
Very true.
Very true.
Am I
There's
right?
a whole new generation which has come up.
Whole generation does not know. Today is a big day for me, you know, Neelam Krishnamurthy. I tell you one thing, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, don't misunderstand where I'm coming from. I intend to show you no disrespect. I show no accusatory finger at a former Supreme Court judge. I'm simply as pained as the victims in this case, and I request your Lordship and others to guide us on the reopening of the matter. I think the Supreme Court can show the way. What do you say, Ishkaran Bhandari, Shilpi Jain, all young lawyers today, Swapnil Kothari from Mumbai? I think the Supreme Court can guide us in the reopening of the matter.
Arnab, I was a...
Yes, Ishkaran, want to say something first? Yes, Ishkaran.
Arnab, I was very young when this tragedy happened. Arnab, I was very young when this tragedy happened, but one of the people I know were my family friends, and it was horrific. We were very, very young, 10, 12 years old when this happened. And I hope that a new jurisprudence where reopening of such a gross miscarriage of justice happens would be a great day for me as a lawyer and for every lawyer in this country, that justice should be fully done for people who suffered so much, and I think suffered irreparably. But still justice, whatever balm justice can do, should be given to them. You know, and not having those people in jail is no justice in my eyes.
This is such a historic moment for me on my program this evening. And I would say to you, Justice Gyansudha Mishra, though I may have disagreed with you on various parts, I compliment you on your boldness and your straightforwardness. You've spoken today as a true citizen of India. And that makes me proud. You see, we want to live in hope. And today is a very big day for me, more than any of the political debates. This moment is important because this is a battle worth fighting for. Swapnil Kothari, where do we take this now? You know, today so many people calling in right now. Former Supreme Court judge says, yes, I support a reopening of the case, is the greatest ray of hope. Greatest ray of hope when the cringeworthy negligence of two super rich Ansal brothers, I remember 100 people were injured. You know, 23 children died, 100 people were injured in the stampede. When a simple excursion to watch a movie turns into a death warrant for ordinary citizens, we are asking those responsible to be given the harshest of punishment. And today, I'm saying this, Swapnil, the entire Lutyens media has deliberately blacked out the case. Let them fight me, let them abuse me, let them say what they want. They blacked it out. They have blacked it out. Yes, Swapnil, how can we reopen this?
Yes.
Yeah, Justice Gyansudha Mishra will say something. I'll give her way first.
That I have ever come to.
Yeah, Swapnil goes first. Yeah, Swapnil and then Justice, I'm coming to you. Yeah, go on.
Ma'am, can I speak? Ma'am, I just want to say something very quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
This is one of the best debates that I've come to. You know, I've participated in many, and the reason is because here I have her ladyship supporting fully the cause for reopening the case, simply because somewhere we feel that there has been injustice done. And with the highest of respect to the Supreme Court, this judgment needs to be overturned simply because we cannot have this as set as a precedent ever. And my firm request to the Supreme Court would be, in my humble submission, would be that when you reopen the case, this case should not be sent to the trial court for trial de novo. It has to be decided by the Supreme Court itself so that there are no tiers further up from down the ladder up. And it has to be a section amendment there where rather the replacement of the charge for 304 so that you have a culpable homicide charge, because under Article 141 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court can pass any order, judgment, decree to do complete justice, and which is binding on all the courts of the country and all the citizens. So the Supreme Court, in its widest discretion, can invoke Article 141 to amend that charge to 304 and then start. Otherwise, just giving 304A reopening and giving 2 years again has got no meaning.
So what is the
I
way?
think this is the best way forward, in my opinion, Arnab, and congratulations to you.
Yes, Justice Gyan Sudha Mishra responding to you, Swapnil Kothari from Mumbai. Justice Mishra, go on.
Yeah. In this context, I was just wanting to add that here is an opportunity where the sentencing policy also requires a relook, and in some kinds of offences, the punishment in the statute under the IPC should be enhanced. I have been a great votary that let there be minimum discretion where the court can be
I agree. But now,
take a different
but now if we are to make this a precedent, no, let me get Shilpi also. She has not spoken. Shilpi listening on keenly. She's a Supreme Court lawyer.
Arnab,
the question is, how do we reopen?
What happened was very unfortunate. My view is different. What happened was extremely unfortunate. My sympathies are with the victims, but in criminal law, what we punish is mens rea, intention. The courts have to establish in accordance with the law, not be swayed by emotions. Was there an intention?
No. We have Yogita Bayana taking on yoga.
Was there an intention? It was. In accident cases, it's the same section which is applied, 304A.
Where was the exit plan? Where was the...
This is another perception.
Why they had extra chairs there? Why they were blocking the exit ways? I'm a disaster management student. Madam, talk to me. It was not prepared that they are... Definitely their intention was not right. It was not culpable homicide, but it was made so. But it is okay. We give that benefit of doubt. But 2 years is nothing. You can't compensate with the money. I'm sorry, their intention... There is something called man-made disaster.
There's a thin line between
disaster. It is like killing people
and negligence.
If you
it's a very thin line, and you have to prove it by evidence.
You are equally a killer. You are equally a murderer. I'm sorry. You can't say their intentions were right. Their intentions are not right, because then they also try to hamper.
Sandeep Mishra has not spoken. Sandeep Mishra, which is the route to reopening? No. We have a ray of hope. Sandeep Mishra, which is the route to reopening now?
Stupid argument.
Which is the route to reopening? The focus should be on reopening.
With the evidence also.
Sandeep Mishra.
And I congratulate Justice Gyan Sudha Mishra to come forward and daring to say that we are going to request to reopen this case, because reopening is what the wrong Supreme Court had did, that may be corrected. This is a chance to Supreme Court to correct his own mistakes, because justice not only be done, but it seems to be done. And today what we are discussing, that is curative petition. Curative petition was evolved. That this is not a parliament-made law. This is a law evolved by the Supreme Court itself to do complete justice. Yes. And where is the complete justice? Where is the complete justice
So there
today?
is what is the provision whereby...
I raise one point also.
Where is the provision whereby reopening can happen is my point.
Allowing a person of senior citizen on the ground of age...
No, 1 second. Sandeep, 1 minute. Sandeep, 1 minute. Just 1 minute. So there is, Justice Gyan Sudha Mishra, tell me, what is the procedure when the matter has gone to this level, right? And the Ansals are walking free and they are paying a fine of 30 crore each. The families of the victims are asking, and they filed a curative petition that was dismissed. Technically, how can this matter now be reopened? Tell me, what is the way in which it can be reopened as a form of... Yeah.
I think that require a lot of deliberations and the legal mind, and I think it's better an eminent lawyer is in your program, Mr. Harish Salver. I think he can guide you better as to how to go about it.
Okay, so
because for a long time I have been, giving. Yes, how to go about it and how to reopen it. But there's also a question that ultimately, let's see, if it is reopened, the ultimate punishment would be only that 2 years.
No.
That's the,
There is Justice Gyan Sudha Mishra.
59 people
Justice Gyan Sudha Mishra, the issue is simple.
No, ma'am.
There has to be justice. There has to be justice, not just for the super rich, but for the citizens of India. This has been a very interesting and important program.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of people who played the tragedy down. The pillars of this country's democracy failed the citizens, and therefore I believe it is our solemn duty for the media to step in at this point of time. Neelam Krishnamurthy, Mr. Sani, Mr. Krishnamurthy, I'm with you in this fight, I promise you. We'll find a way. Thank you for watching tonight. This is an important day. But to you, I'd say, let's not lose hope. We'll fight this one out. And thank you, viewers, for your support. See you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Good night and goodbye.